never thought I'd live to see the day where we have a hurricane, where we have a huge storm like Hurricane Sandy come just pretty much 1 year after we had Hurricane Irene. I mean, consecutive years we had major storms bearing down on the Northeast. Now, I live here in the tri-state area, so I could tell you a lot about what happened with Hurricane Irene. You know, I was able to witness it. I was able to stay up pretty much most of the night while the wind bared down. But this is just, you know, watching the weather report is a whole new wild animal. So here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna make sort of like a video journal, and I'm gonna record everything from the weather report to the whole entire ordeal, and just basically my thoughts on this storm.
Lee Goldberg and Amy Freeze have been following the storm. We're going to begin our coverage with the latest on the path of the storm with meteorologist Lee Goldberg. Lee?
A storm that will affect millions and cost billions. I heard that earlier today, and it just encapsulates what this storm is going to do. All the actions you see now, the voluntary evacuations, I mean, this is all appropriate. We're not hyping a storm. We're looking at an unprecedented storm, a storm that's going to be huge and powerful and will be high impact in the tri-state area. This is not a question of, you know, is it going to go out to sea anymore? This is going to very well have a big-time impact, if not a direct impact on the tri-state area in terms of landfall. You see the storm right now? It doesn't look so much like a hurricane anymore. It's a little lopsided. It has weakened a little bit today, but you know, weak is nothing we're going to really associate with Sandy going forward. Winds are down to 75 miles an hour, but notice it's slowed. It's almost just sitting, going to wait for some reinforcements. It'll start to act upon a movement up to the north as it starts to feel the influences of other weather systems around it. A wind maybe at 65 miles an hour on Sunday, maybe going down to tropical storm status, but then it starts to interact. I mean, how many times you see a tropical storm going into colder waters and then maybe regaining hurricane status because it's interacting with this very strong front coming from the west? I mean, look at this sharp turn. I mean, even just to forecast that and to see all of our weather charts showing that is just remarkable. One thing we've noticed this afternoon, number one, we continue to focus on the central and southern New Jersey and the Delaware Bay. The other thing is the turn offshore may take a little longer, allowing us to push the brunt of the storm Monday night rather than maybe Monday afternoon. So we may have to push that down just a little bit. But you can see here, if you take a landfall, it would be sometime Tuesday morning. Just looking at this track, look at the projected rainfall totals in and around the track. You're talking double digits. Look at the 9 and 10 inch amounts and look at how that's over central and southern New Jersey, south and west of New York City, something we have to watch out for. Maybe one saving grace, if this is the track that happens, that the actual rainfall in the Hudson Valley and Connecticut may be down a little bit, but I still would have to allow for 3 to 6 inches of rain. So it's a high impact historic storm heading our way. The first showers arrive Sunday, but the brunt will not be until late Monday now into Tuesday. Major coastal flooding, 80-mile-per-hour gusts, heavy rain, beach erosion. It has everything but snow. There's snow well to our west. We have planners for you to take.
Lee Goldberg, he's tracking Sandy. Lee?
Here's what's new at 11 tonight. Sandy is actually showing signs of weakening. I'm surprised she's still a hurricane, barely hanging on to that status. But that's expected. That's what's happening right now. I have some tweaks to the timing and track. There is a slight northward trend in our computer models, so that brings the percentages up a little bit. If we're talking about a track that could go over Long Island, I'll get to that in a moment. Meanwhile, Sandy just north of the Bahamas, but check it out. In our skies in southern New Jersey, already some of the high clouds from Sandy fanning northward. It's a little lopsided. It's not looking as organized right now, but still categorized as a hurricane, 75-mile-per-hour wind. It's moving slowly. It continues to move slowly, and it's off the southeast coast of the U.S. for much of the weekend. Tropical storm force, wind gusts, some gusty rainfall. Then, as we look toward that...
As you can see with these projected paths, half the lines put the landfall at almost the same exact spot Hurricane Irene made landfall last year. The other half put the storm over Long Island, but eventually making its way over to North Jersey and then into Pennsylvania. But either way, the Northeast is going to be affected. This is just one huge monster storm.
Trying to prepare through the weekend. The brunt is really late Monday through Tuesday. Major coastal flooding, maybe record tidal flooding. Damaging winds that will take down a lot of trees and knock out power widespread and maybe long term. And then lots of heavy rainfall that can cause some inland flooding. I'll tell you what the biggest risk for your town and location is. A lot of elements to the storm, and I'll give you the tweaks to timing and track. That's coming up in the complete 7-day active weather forecast in just a few minutes. Bill, Shade.
I continue to keep a close ear and a close eye on the radio and with the news regarding Hurricane Sandy. To think of a storm like this, it's just like, it's incredible, and I can't really say much about how amazing this is. Supposedly this storm is gonna be worse than Irene. For one thing in particular, when Irene came and hit us, hit the tri-state area, back in 2011, it was just the hurricane. It was just simply a fast-moving hurricane. Obviously it did damage. The wind howled, the rain came down, but it didn't interact with any cold fronts. This storm in particular will interact with a cold front. And whenever low-pressure systems interact with low fronts, you get your classic nor'easter. So even if Sandy hits the area as a tropical storm, just the fact that you have a cold front interacting with Sandy, this is like, at this point you have to just eliminate the fact that it's a tropical storm, because it's become a new monster of its own. It's called a hybrid storm. And that alone, can bring destruction far worse than what Irene did. So, I'm just excited, but I'm scared at the same time.
For at least 60 deaths. And a state of emergency has been declared in 7 states, including New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut.
We have several reporters covering preparations for the storm, from evacuations to a potential mass transit shutdown. But first, let's get the very latest on Sandy's track. Meteorologist Jeff Smith is in the Weather Center.
And Joe, there are minor adjustments that we're making to the track this evening as we got the new advisory from the National Hurricane Center. First, the current state of Sandy, which is about 305 miles south-southeast of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, which, by the way, is already getting winds up to 40 miles per hour. So tropical storm force winds extend very far from the center of this storm. Winds are sustained at 75 right near the center. The pressure down to 960 millibars. That's more typical of a Category 3 hurricane. The track forecast brings it out to sea initially. See, it makes its closest pass to Cape Hatteras right around Sunday evening at 8 p.m., and then it takes a hard left-hand turn toward the middle Atlantic coast by Monday afternoon into Monday evening. We're looking for a late Monday night landfall, probably over southern parts of New Jersey, but it could be anywhere from Long Island all the way down to the Delmarva. It all depends on when it takes that sharp turn. If it takes a little bit longer to take that left turn, it's going to be more like Long Island over to Sandy Hook. If it happens a little bit sooner, it's more like Delaware. Either way, I think we're going to be on the right front quadrant of the hurricane, which is maximum hurricane impact in terms of wind and storm surge, and that rain and wind will increase tomorrow night. The brunt, though, is Monday into Monday night. Damaging wind, major coastal flooding, and heavy rain. We'll get into all the specifics, wind gusts, rainfall amounts, and storm surge values coming up in your full AccuWeather forecast. Viewing area and a flood watch due to the heavy rainfall expected. Guess what? We're getting some of the outer cloud bands from Sandy, which is located well off to our south right now. Even some rain bands moving over extreme southern New Jersey and parts of the Delmarva. Saw Tim Fleischer out there in Long Branch, New Jersey, talking about the wave heights already increasing there. Look at the waves around Sandy. 35-foot waves indicated by buoys right around the center of the storm. And even up toward our neck of the woods, just south of Long Island, 8-foot waves. Just east of the Maryland shore, we have 12-foot waves, and these will keep on increasing. Let's go through every aspect of the storm right now, starting with the winds. And these will really peak out late Monday into Monday night. Could be gusts up to 60 to 80 miles per hour. City, Long Island, much of New Jersey, and then possibly over 80 miles per hour the eastern shore of Monmouth County and Ocean County in New Jersey. A little bit less north of I-84, but still up to 60 mile per hour gusts there. They'll increase 25 to 35 miles per hour tomorrow night. Sustained at 40 to 60 on Monday, and again gusting 60 to 80, and that will uproot trees, and there will be widespread power outages from that, and possibly long-lasting power outages too. The storm surge, the other big concern, potentially a 4 to 8 foot surge over western parts of Long Island Sound, as high as a 5 to 10 foot surge over Raritan Bay and parts of the Jersey Shore, with that onshore flow piling water toward the coast. 15 to 20 foot waves on top of that. That'll mean major coastal flooding and severe beach erosion. Again, the brunt Monday into Monday night. Expected rainfall 4 to 8 inches from the city points west, and then western and southern parts of New Jersey potentially over 8 inches. Here's your AccuWeather forecast, 7 o'clock in the morning. Pretty benign for tomorrow morning. Cool with a few showers around, 56 during the day. Increasingly windy, cooler, a few showers, the high getting up to around 60 tomorrow night. It becomes very windy with rain, which could have winds gusting 50 miles per hour with some heavy showers around 56, and then finally things start to wind down. Cleanup, unfortunately, going to begin on Wednesday.
Yeah.